obviously the weekend was a little busy. I decorated my room. I didn't, actually. It was my brother, Adler. He's in charge of a lot of the visuals around the YouTube channels and stuff, and I basically never leave this room, and he was able to get in here because I was at TwitchCon last weekend, in which case I enjoyed meeting you guys. If you happen to be there, did a lot of hardcore networking. I think I might even start a new LinkedIn presence after that. Very, emotionally moving and a lot of stuff, but seriously met a few partners and stuff that could be good for all the channels and things that we use in the future. But the most important fact about TwitchCon is that I was not in this room for 3 days. And so it was possible for Adler to come in and actually decorate the background. So all those damn jokes that were entirely warranted about how shit my background was, well, that, it's been handled. Okay, the background now exists. We've got our interchangeable display things over here. We've got this super sick piece of furniture. We got a light behind it, so I even kind of look like a gamer. And that's fortunate because I'm going to actually talk about games. A absolute paradigm shifting moment there. But, am I rusty? What is happening? Words usually happen when I do something like that, but nothing happened. Let's try it again. Arsenal, Manchester City. What the fuck was going on? Okay, look, it took me, because I was, just deep in the mines of Moria of trying to navigate the premier kind of brand meet streamer meet brand week of the year. And I was also trying to keep track of what the hell was going on with Arsenal and Manchester City. Like, of all the weekends to miss watching a single match, that was the worst match to miss watching because it took me a while to even figure out what the hell had gone on, but we're going to unpack all of it from the, who we love, who we hate, and everything. Let's start with the actual match. Okay, and the actual match was fabulous. Okay, don't worry, I got through the extended highlights, and it was not a chore to get through the extended highlights on that one because holy shit. I mean, the storylines going into this match are obviously elite. You've got Arsenal, which basically trying to become something other than an also-ran for the first time in a long time, right? They're trying to create a new city pool kind of dichotomy with Manchester City at the top of the league. And in order to do that, you have to actually be able to beat Manchester City at some point. And this felt like it was going to be that. Manchester City goes out in front. Calafiori in his first start scores an incredible goal. I mean, there's something about the way that Calafiori scored that goal and celebrated made me feel like I was watching Prime Barclays. I don't even know how to put my finger on it. I'm going to need somebody more eloquent to come along and actually describe why I'm feeling that. Maybe it's just a sexy Italian man scoring in the Premier League again. I don't know, right? But you need all of these different components to create that kind of chaotic, emotional, intense Barclays feeling. And that was my number one takeaway from the whole damn match. Was thank you, right? Manchester City's been fluffing its numbers for a long time to get extra money under FFP, right? Arsenal's got a lot of players hurt, and they're soft, and Ben White has a spray tan, but for 90 glorious minutes, we got fucking football. We got balls to the wall, physical, shit-talking, lay it all on the line, you gotta fucking die to get 3 points football. That's what we got. And I didn't even get to watch it. You have no idea how mad I was when I realized that was the game that I happened to miss. That it wasn't a boring 0-0, that it wasn't a City blowout, right? That it was maybe the match of the season, right? In a match that felt like it was from a bygone age all the way down to Calafiori's strike from outside the box that just felt Barclays. It just did. The whole thing felt old school cool. It felt tough, and it was awesome. And I really hope that we get more matches like that. Look, even if Arsenal doesn't finish second in the league, okay, even if Arsenal doesn't finish second in the league, they have shown in this match that they can play with Manchester City, that they can bother Manchester City, that they can hang with Manchester City, and they can give us a hell of a match against Manchester City. And that means that Arsenal's moving in the right direction because for the better part of the last 5 years, Manchester City has been almost inarguably the best team on the planet. Now, obviously, there's 115 charges that would like a word, but when we're talking about the 11 dudes and the in between the lines and the bald guy on the sideline, they are the team. They are the menace, right? And as much as Real Madrid's got its voodoo magic, right, Manchester City is the machine. They're the Terminator. And Arsenal made them look human. They turned a match against Manchester City into an actual football match instead of an exercise in tactical precision. And for that, I thank them. For that, I could not thank them anymore because I felt something. Even just watching the extended highlights, I felt that tingle at the end of the fingers, right? You might have thought I was going somewhere else with that, but no, I'm sorry. No, I mean, you feel, the hair standing up on the back of your neck in that rush, like when you're watching those top, football moments, compilations or something. That's what we were getting treated to. And sure, there's 1,000 different talking points within it, right? The red card. Fair enough. It is, technically a red card if you do that. Would I have liked the referee to have exercised a little bit more caution, right? Because Leandro Trossard was given a second yellow card for delaying the game by kicking the ball away. Yeah. I am one of those people that is partial to the referee only handing out second yellow cards that are, pretty procedural in that nature for egregious offenses, because it is something that's going to totally alter the aspect of the rest of the match, right? And of course, Arsenal up 2-1 at that point, and they hang on all the way to the 97th minute, and it's back and forth. And then Manchester City, for all the charges showing that, that championship edge, that ability to just find something, right? Manchester City does this a lot, right? I know Manchester United and Sir Alex Ferguson did it more, and they were the team that was famous for doing it, but Manchester City, they display a certain propensity for pulling moments out of the fire. There was that title race, I think it was 2 years ago. If it was last year, then, I've teleported through time or something because it doesn't feel like it was last year. It feels like it was 2 years ago already. Or I've done the opposite of teleporting through time. I've lived 8 lifetimes since this happened. But, when they were down on the final day and they scored 2 goals late to pull it out, or when they were in need of a goal to get the 100-point season and Gabi Jesus, of all people, ends up scoring it. Manchester City has shown this ability. And that's what, if you're going to come for the champ, you best not miss. And Arsenal missed, but they didn't miss by much. Right, they fired a warning shot across the bow of the ship, and that John Stones of all people, fair enough. Jack Grealish, who gets slated a lot for not being able to do anything, did a hell of a lot to create that play, right? Even though he's been bottled up like a genie by Pep Guardiola, some of that magic still kind of shoots out, the lids fizzing like the pot's boiling underneath, and boom, there we go. The Cavs have produced a wonderful cross, and all is right with the world. And that brought us to everything that happened at the end of the match, which just put a perfect bow on everything. First of all, Erling Haaland, right? No, well, first and last of all, Erling Haaland. Because after that goal goes in, obviously, Haaland picks the ball up. Haaland picks the ball up and just throws it off the back of Gabriel's head. Right? I don't know if you guys saw that. If you didn't see it, then you're probably living under a rock. Right? I'm just going to go ahead and say that if Vinicius had done this, I'm pretty sure the Spanish authorities would have put him in a zoo. Right? This is Erling Haaland. Okay, Erling Haaland is so likable, right? Erling Haaland is so incredibly likable that somehow he's managed to get away from this, but that is an unbelievably shithouse thing to do. If Neil Maupay had done that, they would have banished him to the Tajikistani League, okay? Can you imagine these other players having done that in the particular environments that they exist in, whether it be Vinny, Neil Maupay, or I'm trying to, I don't know, even Raheem Sterling. I'm trying to think of anybody else other than Erling Haaland beating somebody in the back of the head with a ball. Just drilling somebody in the back of the head with a ball, right? I'm going to be honest. I'm not a Debbie Downer. I'm just somebody that says I'm going to be honest a lot. How is that not a red card? Look, I know. It was an awesome moment, and I'm loving the rivalry between Erling Haaland and Gabriel. But if I was out there and I beat somebody in the back of the head with a ball, I'd probably get sent off, okay? And anybody else does that, you probably get sent off. The only reason it wasn't is because it was such a dramatic moment, right? But if Trossard's going to get a damn second yellow card for time wasting, halfway through the game, right, in a moment that if I'm watching it, I wouldn't have judged it to be integral to the entire, have to give a red card or the fabric of the game falls apart. Have to give that second yellow or the fabric of the game falls apart. No. But yeah, I don't know. Was VAR also celebrating, right? Is that part of the 115 charges? Now, none of the 115 charges have to do with referee bribery. Honestly, like every other football fan, you're probably watching that and you're just going, oh my God, holy shit. Did you see that? Right. But VAR's you got to be paying attention, right? Because look, it's funny. You just can't have people beating other people in the back of the head with a ball with, solid velocity and clear intent here and not be getting sent off. And then, of course, right after the whistle, he goes barging into Thomas Partey, which, fair, delivering the people's justice. And then after the game, it gets particularly ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to go into some of the footage of this. We'll see if we can get something. This is the mashup that I think NBC Sports put together. Sorry, no, Sky Sports. We'll watch it like in the smaller window here. It's Erling Haaland walking by Mikel Arteta, and you get subtitles. This, I love every part of this, right? I'm just, Mikel Arteta does kind of get on my nerves, right? So does Pep Guardiola sometimes. These guys are serious sticklers, and that's probably the reason that they're able to achieve such significant success. Obviously, Pep Guardiola a lot more than Mikel Arteta, but it's not like Arteta is a bad manager. They're cut from the same cloth. One was literally trained by the other in the managerial dark arts. But Mikel Arteta is definitely somebody... He comes off weird sometimes, right? And Erling Haaland has entered something of a villain arc. He's decided to come out of his shell a little bit. I mean, there was a long period of Erling Haaland's development where he was I don't want to say a clown, but he was almost comic relief, right? He was somebody that kind of drifted above the fray, and he'd score and he'd do like, kind of a teenage, haha, like I scored a meditating thing. And sure, he was an incredibly physical player that would put his shoulder in the chest of players and kind of go through them, but he didn't get involved in this kind of shtick. And obviously, it's been developing. His battle with Gabriel over a period of time has been developing to a point that it is going to become one of the Premier League's great rivalries, hopefully, because both those guys look like they're going to be set to be at their clubs for a while. So I'm excited to see how that goes exactly. But walking by the other team's manager and just telling them to stay humble, that's a hardcore nuts in a wheelbarrow type move. I give Gabby Jesus credit for walking up to him and going, hey, why are you still talking? And then at this point, Erling Haaland has entered that stage. If you've ever been in a heated exchange, where you enter that heated exchange and you have a very clear vision of what kind of point you're trying to make. And at a certain point, once you've made that initial point, in this case, Erling Haaland just telling Mikel Arteta to stay humble, which is something he was probably game planning on the whole walkover. And then other people start talking shit to you, and you just start saying random stuff. You just start pulling out anything you can possibly think of. He just starts calling Gabby Jesus a clown. Why are you talking? They just end up in one of those shouting matches where nobody's making a coherent point. You're just trying to register the fact that you're both mad at each other. And Erling Haaland gets stuck into that too. Freaking great. Test of metal. This is the part that I almost liked the most about the entire match. I mean, the drama in the full 90 minutes was amazing, but this is that little moment at the end of the first movie that gets you ready for the sequel. Now, will the sequel deliver? Almost surely not, right? But the hype will deliver, the energy will deliver, and the determination to win will be there. We will be there. Right, because we got this little teaser for the next match. If I was somebody writing this Succession script here, this is exactly what I would have wanted to have happened. I want Erling Haaland stoking the fire. I want Erling Haaland to put that target on Manchester City's back, to roll up and question the toughness of Arsenal's players and kind of little brother them a little bit. It helps that he's, a 7-foot-tall Viking, which I give Gabby Jesus even more credit for stepping in. But this is sick. This is awesome. And as long as you're just shouting stuff back and forth at each other, it's not bad either, right? If you start throwing haymakers, we're having a different conversation. If somebody snaps somebody else's ACL, we're having a different conversation. That stuff is not good. But if you want to, get yourself amped up and provide all the bulletin board material you can possibly supply in a 20-second clip of you shouting at somebody else, awesome. Do it. Freaking love it. There was one other thing that came from this match as well, which was Arsenal complaining about the amount of stoppage time in the game, which was 7 minutes. Of course, Manchester City scored, bang on 7 minutes of stoppage time a little after. And there were some Arsenal fans who were saying that stoppage time was too much. I think they're actually right. But I think the whole conversation has been stupid. There were 2 Arsenal players that received cards for time wasting before the match was over. That was registered, and that is probably what contributed to the person on the touchline, the fourth official, and deciding to give 7 minutes. But if you go to Opta analysts who calculate this sort of stuff, the ball was in play for 35 minutes during the second half, which is the highest of any English top flight match this season. My only question when it comes to that data is, I mean, obviously having 7 minutes of stoppage time is a little more than normal, so maybe you can juice those numbers with a couple of minutes of the ball being in play in extra time. But that's particularly impressive considering this other stat from Opta analysts, which is that David Raya wasted 9 minutes of yesterday's game on goal kicks. He had 12, and each one took him 45.3 seconds on average to complete. Absolutely insane. So there were 2 yellow cards for time wasting. David Raya in particular drew that ire by obviously wasting a ton of time on goal kicks, but there weren't a lot of other significant stoppages. And so 7 minutes, which is an above average amount of stoppage time in the Premier League in the second half, was more than it probably should have been. But obviously, if you're calculating actual stoppage time, it's more than fair considering the ball was only in play for 32 to 35 minutes of action in the second half. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'm absolutely catastrophically mind blown. The same with VAR, not even looking at the Erling Haaland incident, or even if they did, looking at that and being, yeah, we probably shouldn't do anything about a guy throwing a ball at another dude's head. How we haven't translated the technology of the stopwatch to the fourth official so that you can actually calculate stoppage time. And I don't care if you want to half it, right? I get the argument that you don't want to have the perfect stoppage time because that's just going to be so long and player injury risk and what the fuck ever, right? I don't care if you calculate that the ball was out of play for 12 minutes and that's 6 minutes of stoppage time. But some part of uniform rule that acknowledges the fact that there is modern technology that exists. Perhaps even ancient technology. Light a fucking candle every time the ball goes out of play and see how far it goes down. They could track time that way 1,000 years ago. But we can't track time efficiently on the side of the field in a way that can make this a uniform process so we can finally stop arguing about, I don't know, it was a little too much stoppage time. Like, I would love to not have that conversation ever again. So if we could just... I'd just bang a gong every 15 seconds, have some fifth grader who's practicing counting just count the seconds off for you. I don't care what system you want to use, but this whole thing is stupid. Arsenal obviously employs a lot of dark arts. 9 minutes wasted on goal kicks is just heinous. Straight to hell, don't pass go, don't collect $200. Also, stats don't lie in terms of how long the ball was in play, which means Arsenal probably should have had to defend for less stoppage time. But we have the technology. Let's end that conversation so that I can focus on talking about the Jekyll and Hyde of Erling Haaland and the insanity of a 2-2 match that we just saw. But I got to end talking about this instead.